So as we go into Region 3 now, let's talk about Trinity of Texas and a team that, it used to always be when you talk about Trinity in Division 3, it was Trinity, Connecticut, the Bantams over there, and that was it. Now you talk about Trinity a lot more in Texas, it feels like. Well, you talk about both realistically. Maybe someday when the NESCAC finally gets their bid next year, maybe some will have a sense of humor for Trinity versus Trinity. That'll be a lot of fun for everybody. The chance Westminster versus Westminster could happen too, I guess. Anyway, Caleb Bear joined us. And JB, before we get into this interview, that offensive line is going to have some really, really important duties with another quarterback scenario here coming in. It's not Tucker Horn, it's not Ryan Back, it's somebody else now. And they need to make sure that they provide the protection necessary. Otherwise, another loss against Texas Lutheran could occur in week 1 for this team. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, the Trinity family has been through hell this summer, let's face it. And so this team is either really going to come together and do something special, or they might struggle early on and have a tough time getting out of the blocks. We'll see. After talking with Caleb, I have a feeling things are coming together, but you be the judge. Here's Caleb.
Caleb, thanks for joining us. There's many different ways to start this interview. I was down at Trinity for your last game last season against Mary Hardin-Baylor in the first round of the playoffs. There's obviously a very sad story connected with your team in the off season. I guess my first question then revolves or reflects both of those things. How is this team focused? What are you guys focused on right now after the loss versus Mary Hardin-Baylor in that first round, after Coach Lytle's daughter, Kellyanne, was unfortunately taken in the Texas floods and everything that came with that situation? I mean, what is the feeling, the thought of this team right now as we head into actual football in this 2025 season?
That's it. Yeah, it's a great question. I think right now it's really just focused on leaning on each other. With the things that went on summer, especially, and we ended it last year, we really kind of rallied together around that, especially Coach Lytle and stuff. And, he made it pretty clear that, we're going to play football. And, that's what we've been focused on. And those kind of big events that have happened, in the past year really kind of put things into perspective of, don't take things for granted is a big one we did. We just had our senior talk last night, and that was one of the big themes that we had of not taking granted. And so I think we're kind of rallying around that, taking the little things really, really heavy. I think we've been, showing that during camp, and, specifically within the O-line room, which, where I'm obviously first, we've been really focused on that. And Coach Lytle's been hammering that into us, little things, and, bouncing back, define our season before it's even begun.
Caleb, we'll eventually get into the 25 season, but I want to jump back and look a little bit at 2024. You guys sort of had a little tough start. You went 2-2 in the first few weeks of the season, and then you rattled off like 6 or something consecutive wins. What was it that happened then? Was it sort of this new team, some transition that you guys sort of figured things out that got you on this path into the playoffs? And what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, I think coming into last season, obviously we graduated a lot of guys the year before. We had Tucker, all these big All-American names. And we went into that season, kind of riding that high. And, we got, punched in the mouth in that first game. And I think, again, it put into perspective of us, nobody's going to hand us anything. So learned that we needed to work for those things. They're not just going to be given to us, just like those guys before had to work for them. And I mean, specifically Coach Erb, had a really good speech. I remember after that first game of, it's going to be easy, hey, and, these guys were before, this is their thing. What are we now? But, he really hammered us taking accountability and making it our own team. And that's what I feel like we did. I think that was responsible for why we, that big long run, why we got that upset against Barry and all those big victories later down the line conference, making it in the playoffs. I think, again, we kind of rallied together around the fact that, we weren't perform as well as we wanted to in that first game, and it kind of woke us up. And after that, that's where we found our rhythm. And, we had one more trip up against Center College. But after that, we rallied around each other. That's why we had the success we had later in the season.
One of the issues that you brought up was the TLU game last season, and I believe you get to try to rectify that situation this year.
Thursday.
That there obvious, but obviously there are some, question marks still. I think Ryan is graduated off as quarterback, and so somebody new again under center, and that near and dear to your heart, obviously, in this realm. As of this recording, which is basically the 21st, I believe, of August. So a little bit of a delay between the record and actual debut. What is the offensive plan here? Who is planning to be behind you or under you? And, how does that complicate things again for your team as we start up with the team that beat you last season for all intents and purposes?
Yeah, I'd love to first start off and say, all credit to TLU. They're a great team. They got a great coach, great program. All credit to those guys for running a great team that they have. But that's a great question too. It's one of the ones kind of swirling around the locker room. I wouldn't necessarily say it things. We got a couple of 5 guys that we all feel really confident in. They're battling out, pushing each other, making it better. Honestly, I'm happier that we've got a competition for quarterback rather than just one guy that everybody expects it to be, because it makes those guys sharpen each other. So I don't think I'm not the I'm not Coach Herb. I don't know who they're going to be quite yet, but I know that as a team, we all feel really confident in the guys that we have. It is going to be. I'm going to feel confident snapping to them. I trust Coach Herb's decision on the quarterback. I don't that ways, but I feel really good going into the season. They've shown really good flashes during camp and with anyone.
Well, Caleb, one of the things that kind of made me interested in talking to you was this being nominated for the All-State AFCA Good Works team. Congratulations. I know that's a lot of nominations out there, but when you think about there's 25,000 guys playing D3 football, probably another few tens of thousands when you factor in all the other divisions, whatnot. I mean, this is quite an honor. What kind of things are you doing either in the community or otherwise that's gotten you on this list?
I mean, one of the big ones is, over the summer, we have this thing in San Antonio. It's a great opportunity. The Core Zone Ministries Clinic. It's a homeless clinic run out of Grace Lutheran and Travis Park Church in San Antonio. Volunteer there and, work on, needle exchange and, giving meals and free medical care and the addicted populations of San Antonio. So over the summers, I've spent a couple hundred hours there, volunteering in their clinics. They've got a basement clinic at Travis Park where they can actually give out prescription medications. So really working there is one of the big ones that I've had, but also, stuff with team. Remember last spring, a couple, 10 or 15 of the guys went and helped out with the School of the Deaf. That's, 5 minutes down the road. Those things, staying active in those, I try and promote those on campus as much as I can. We've got an awareness society here on Trinity's campus that I try and, help work with and things like that. But I think also one of the big things is just I guess within football specifically, is just other guys. Every year I make a group chat with the young guys on the football team with that are really pursuing pre-medical, and I keep up with them and help them out. And we've got our own little club or chat we've got, but both in and out of the community, just promoting those different things.
Wow, it's awesome. Yeah, no kidding. And obviously, as we had reported on too, members of your team went up to help with the search efforts as well when things were still fresh with the Texas flood situation. And so we don't want to forget to thank your team for, doing that. That was not easy work, especially with emotion and everything else going on. around what was going on. So we do want to pay homage to you guys for that as well. Caleb, family is a big thing, obviously, especially in the Trinity program. But for you especially, you have a family member who is like you, I believe, a center, or trying to feel their oats with respect to the offensive line in the next level right now, particularly the Buffalo Bills. Why don't you tell us about what's going on with that? And again, we are recording this maybe before decisions are being made, but still an exciting time in the Bear family for sure.
Yeah, no, my older brother Jacob, like you said, is trying out for the Buffalo Bills right now. He's obviously a big football guy. It's all he's ever wanted to do. But he's really, really busy. I try and call him every chance that I get, and he gives me some advice that he can on center stuff. He gets really excited because he's learning all these new things that he didn't get to learn as much in college, and pros are obviously just the next level. So it's exciting for him. My mom's definitely proud of the Bear boys right now. She's having a good time posting on Facebook about do. So yeah, he's doing great. He really enjoys it up there. He loves the weather, a lot better than Arkansas. Not as hot as Texas for sure.
Yeah, I was going to ask Caleb. I know it gets pretty hot down there in San Antonio this time of year in late August, and I see your senior photo, and I imagine you probably got it all tied up nice in the back there with a little man bun, but you've got some pretty good long hair. Does it get a little hot under that helmet? How you handling it?
Yeah, I used to play with the down, and it was it was like wearing a blanket or on my head during games. It was a little hot. Maybe a D-line get a snag every once in a while, tear a couple strands out, which was rough. So I started putting it back in the bun during games, so no one could hopefully I wouldn't have a heat stroke. So I shout out Mama Bear for giving me the long curly locks.
There you go.
Caleb, what is the expectation of this team after the last couple of or last few years as things have heated up in Texas in a different way on the football field in Division III? Trinity has become a household name in Division III, has become another team in Texas besides Mary Hardin-Baylor and also Hardin-Simmons out there. TLU trying to keep up, but still Trinity's got the better overall last 4-year profile and consistently so. Even with Ryan under center last year, as we know, you guys were within a hair's breadth of getting to the second round versus Mary Hardin-Baylor in that first round game. What is the expectation level right now for this team? Is this a team of excellence beyond when you took the field the first time as a freshman back when?
Oh, I'd definitely say we're pursuing excellence. We have a saying here, it's be the standard. And, the standard for us is obviously winning games and, being a team. We have our sights obviously set on a championship. I don't think there's any surprise about that. A lot of the seniors and myself, when I go 4 in a row, I don't think we're also afraid to say that we want to make a deep playoff run. We want to get to the Stag Bowl, hopefully succeed there. But we're definitely holding up the same standard that we had whenever, the other guys who are a bit more household names like Tyler Huddle and Caleb Harmon were here. Our expectations are just as high. The standard doesn't move who's, playing in the spot. The standard is the standard no matter what. We're going to relentlessly pursue that throughout this season for sure.
Well, absolutely. And I noticed you guys are flying all the way out to Tacoma, Washington in week 3. That's a road trip that'll get you prepared for the playoffs. I mean, that's a long flight.
Oh yeah, we're so excited. I love those charter plane flights. It's a great time. Don't gotta check your bag. Don't gotta do nothing. Just get on the plane and you're hanging out.
I hope they give the offensive line first class because you guys are big. You need a little extra space.
Usually we get about 2 seats to ourselves. We'll kind of push the little guys, make sure they go next to each other. But yeah, we're super excited to go up there. Obviously, we've never played them before, but we're super excited to go up to Wyman and play some really good football. It reminds me of when we went up to St. John's my sophomore year and had that close game. We really think that this could be a trend-setting, establishing game for us this year, and we hope to do so and succeed that game.
Two last things, Caleb. One I'll ask you, one JB I'm sure will ask you. First, what's next for you? Because obviously I believe this is your fourth season of play, so this is it for eligibility for you. So tell us what's going to be next for Caleb Bear after graduation.
Yeah, it's funny you asked that. I just finalized stuff, med school and recruiters and stuff. So after college, and after ball, I plan to go pursue. I'm applying to different med schools right now, but I want to join the Air Force and have them college or my medical college, and then go and be a doctor in the Air Force for however many years. Maybe stick with it if I really love it. But that's currently the goal, and little side goal. Maybe if I do med school and in San Antonio or something like that, if I station here, I'd love to get back on the field and do a little side coaching if I can. I don't know if I'm ready to go football yet, but obviously medicine's the number one goal. Football, I'll kind of keep in the back burner for now.
Is there a certain area of practice that you're interested in? You want to be like a surgeon or something?
Yeah, I really like emergency medicine. Being in the hospital, where I say I kind of attribute to my background. I want things where things are always going. There's always something new. It's exciting. The adrenaline's pumping. I'm really interested in emergency medicine, especially within a place like the military where they really need it the most. I got a bit of a patriotic to me. So I would love to serve my country. Hey, yeah, we could throw it up. I love to serve my country practicing trauma and emergency medicine for the Air Force.
Wow.
That's freaking awesome, as they'd say. And congratulations on even having that desire. Yeah, a lot of folks would never even think to go that route. So thank you for that, for sure. I'll ask the other question that JB probably would have asked otherwise here. Do you have any shout-outs for any family, friends, teammates that might be watching the show? Caleb Bear, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, first of all, we already talked about him a little bit, but, big bro, Jacob Bear, Bill Masia, that guy up, he loves it. He loves it up there. Love to see him stay with the Bills. And then also, my teammates, I can't do anything without these guys. I know I'm up here speaking on behalf of them, but really, it's us as a unit. Whoever, is leading at the front, it is a reflection of who we are as a whole. So I love those guys, to death. We're out there suffering in the same heat every single day at 6 a.m., practicing every morning. I have to give a big shout out to, Coach Herb, Coach Lytle, for being super influential, especially this year. For me, you molded me into a leader on the team and helping me to be more vocal and stuff like that. Those guys are awesome. I really think they're working hard to make me a better football player and a better man. So I love those guys.
You're also serving well to remind everybody that offensive linemen are some of our favorite guests on this program, even though we don't get to have you guys on as often as we'd like, because you guys seem to be the most personable, funny guys that we have. Kickers and you guys. It's like two subcultures on football teams. I've been next to Tyler Huddle enough times on your guys' sideline when he was with you to know that's one subculture over here, and then there's the offensive lineman over here in a whole different subculture. But you guys are indeed kick-ass guys, to say the least, and we appreciate you being on the show. And again, we want to send all our love, prayers, and support to the Lytle family, to the Trinity family for the losses endured, for sure. Hope to get down to see you guys in person soon. But in the meantime, best of luck on this season.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Appreciate the shout out for the big boy. Gotta give a shout out to the guys with the big bellies every once in a while.
Thanks to all of our friends over at Trinity for helping make this interview happen. Caleb talked about his brother. I did not see his brother on the 53-man roster or as a practice squad player either, but he's got some bright promise for sure. I think he will continue his time out there, and we wish him the best. But Caleb, we'll see how he's able to do with his team this season. Again, household name in football in Division III in Texas now, and they have to maintain that here if Coach Urban is to be happy. This is a coach that is really, somebody that could go anywhere. I really believe. And he stays at Trinity. He's building something at Trinity that he finds special in the family he's built down there. in many different ways. So we'll see where this goes. JB, I'm curious. So before we throw this back to the Twitterverse here, do you think Trinity wins the SAA this year, or do you think it could be Barry or somebody else for that matter?
Maybe Maryville, who's coming from the USA South. It's going to be a very competitive season. I had a front row seat for that knockdown, drag out, almost 100-point Trinity versus Barry game in Georgia a couple of years ago, and I think we might see another close contest. I mean, last year we saw 3 teams from the SAA make the playoffs because of that crazy 8-2 tiebreaker situation, and a lot of these teams from this conference are playing some really tough out-of-conference games. So if they win those, the MPI is going to be boosted. We'll see what happens. I think Barry's still the early favorite, but you really don't know. It's a 3 or 4 team race there.
Agree with you there. Folks, we'll continue this interview series. Stay tuned for the next one. One more time, we're in Region 3 in our player interview series, and here's somebody that I got a front row seat to see only for maybe 3/4 of a game last season. Everything was going pretty okay for Hardin-Simmons versus Howard Payne under the lights on a Friday night until Noah Garcia went down and was carted off the field literally into an ambulance, and we'll talk about that with him coming up in a second. But he did get back, kind of got his bell rung and some other things going on there. It looks good. We'll see him in a second. Looks like he's ready to go. And his Hardin-Simmons Cowboys need him to be, because it seems like everybody kind of re-upped themselves a little bit. Seeing Hardin-Simmons, have the success they had last year. Mary Hardin-Baylor salivating to get back out there, obviously. They beat them in the 3rd game, but obviously if you go by season series, Hardin-Simmons won that series last year, and others out there are ready to go. What are your thoughts here as we get into the season about Hardin-Simmons and the importance of Noah's role there, JB?
Well, yeah, he's a very key aspect of their offense because he's such a strong runner. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can do a lot of things. And I think the nice thing for Hardin-Simmons is now the Cowboys have shed that whole, we can't beat UMHB thing anymore. And they've become a perennial top 10 program, a playoff contender. They're the defending ASC champs, so they're not the underdogs anymore. If any, they're being the ones that are chased, and I think they've been waiting to be in this position for a while, and it's going to require guys like Noah to keep them at the top of the conference.
Well, Abilene is going to be a happening place possibly in the playoffs if they have a season like last season, but then continue a playoff run this go around. First things first, they got to get there, and Noah will discuss, what they're thinking in Abilene right now. Noah, good to have you with us. Good to have you at all. I mean, last time I saw you actually in person, I happened to be in Abilene for the Howard Payne game last year, or one of the Howard Payne games last year, and I had a report on you getting literally carted off the field and outside and everything else via ambulance. I mean, that was an interesting night. Let's talk about that first. What happened? How do you feel? How did you feel afterward? And it did put a little bit of things into perspective for you as things were not exactly, let's say, crystal clear and great that night in that game, despite Hardin-Simmons winning the game.
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, thank y'all for having me. And it was a crazy night. So I had got a swing pass, and honestly, it was a regular hit, like football play, football tackle. And I don't really remember anything after that. I had suffered a concussion and a sprained vertebrae, and there was another big word that was wrong with my neck. And so, yeah, it was definitely crazy. It was a traumatic experience for sure.
Well, how did you overcome it then? I guess, I imagine you had to do some rehab and all that, but tell us a little bit about what happened after, which hopefully you remember.
Yeah. So the recovery it wasn't really, I just had to heal. I went home in a neck brace. They gave me some medicine for the concussion, and I kind of just didn't do anything for about a week or two. And yeah, it was all just on my own timing. I didn't start practicing until I believe the playoff week. I missed the last few games, and started practicing the last playoff game, and that's when I got back into it, and I guess healthy again.
Well, when you say you didn't do anything, did you at least play a little Madden or something like that to fill the time? Come on now, we're always looking to do something like that.
Yeah, I definitely played the game a little bit. I tried not to be like around light because it would just hurt my head. It just make my head start pounding. So when I did play, I'd have to wear like shades, and yeah, it was crazy.
Well, glad to have you back in one piece per se here and healthy again. So your team is looking to defend. This is something we haven't gotten to say for quite some time with respect to the ASC situation. But it was a topsy-turvy scenario last year. You beat Mary Hardin-Baylor twice, and, you guys are at the top of the heap there. And then, we didn't want to see it. You didn't want to see it. Nobody wanted to see it. Yet it happened that you had to play a third time, and they beat you guys the third time and knock you guys out. So what is your guys' emotion level here heading into the season, despite having the ASC title, but having that kind of ending again? I mean, how do you guys feel? What are you guys setting out to do here in 2025 based on all that?
For sure, defend. And yeah, that game was a tough one on all of us. Going through the off season, the summer, just everything. That's all. It's been the talk that game, and what we could have did better, what we should have done better, and how it should have went. But they're a good team, and things happen, and we'll just run it back this year.
Yeah, another thing, it seems like the Cowboys are running back are long road trips. You went to Massachusetts last year. This year, you're flying out to Orange County, California to take on Chapman in week 1. This chartered flights and all that, I guess, is a fun experience, something that you're probably used to with playoffs and all that kind of stuff. But tell us how the team is getting ready for this big week 1 game against one of the better teams on the West Coast.
Yeah, it's definitely a great experience. It's fun getting to fly and buddies on the plane, your teammates, and they're a good team. And we just got to go down there, handle business, and take care of what we need to take care of.
No, we saw some devastation to the stadium. I mean, obviously, Texas has had a run of it weather-wise, when things that are going on. But the stadium in particular took it on the chin. Some of the lower stands, it looks like, were pretty much destroyed. What is the status of things down in Abilene for you guys? And, how is everybody feeling after the Texas floods and everything else that happened? I know you guys were sharing in prayers with us with what happened to the Trinity coaching staff and family down there, but obviously affected everybody in Texas. How are things right now for you guys?
I think things are a lot better. Yeah, it was. We had some bricks and stuff fall down off of the stadium, but everything's fixed and ready to go.
Well, it sounds good that it's ready, because after that West Coast trip, it looks like you got 4 games at home, sort of back to back, which is going to be nice, especially for you, who's from Abilene. And imagine your family loves that. Makes tailgating and all that a lot easier. When you look ahead, I mean, McMurray's back on the schedule. They kind of left for a little while. Now they're back. Are you guys excited to kind of get that rivalry back up and running?
Yes, sir. They're another Abilene team. It's a big Abilene event, and it's good to have them back on the schedule and another crosstown rival. And I feel like it's, like I said, it's real big for the city, and the whole city gets to come out and support both teams, and it's a great thing. Yes, sir.
No, we talked about the general gist of Mayor Hardin-Baylor versus Hardin-Simmons. And I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here because obviously it's going to play out a couple times again this season before we get back to regular scheduling again, where everybody plays each other once, and we like it that way, honestly. But right now Texas football in Division III is really becoming potent from a national perspective. It wasn't always that way. I mean, yes, Mary Hardin-Baylor has won national championships over the last decade, sure, but it seems like Trinity has thrown their hats into this ring pretty well, and you guys have had a little bit of a, standing rivalry with them at times, it feels like, going through. Mary Hardin-Baylor, you guys, and there seems like other teams are starting to try to follow suit. Is this the strongest you've seen Texas Division III football at this stage, now that you've had a few years to kind of lock in and watch this play out? What do you think's going on with the whole Texas college football scene in this level?
I would say so. There's a lot of talent in Texas, and Texas, I believe, is the best football. So, yeah, I would say it's just gotten way better. It's harder on the field. Yeah, I definitely think it's grown and challenging now.
Absolutely. Well, Noah, just looking here, I'm going to maybe round some things up, but about 2,200 plus total yards, 30 touchdowns in your career. Pretty impressive run. I assume, depending if there was any medical red shirts or anything, that this might be your last year as a Cowboy. What are your plans for once you get your degree, moving on with your life? What's ahead for Noah Garcia?
Hopefully to keep playing football. Take it pro wherever. Any team that would like to have me or give me the opportunity. But yeah, I think that's what's going to be the next step.
That's Noah Garcia, folks, that might be watching. And make sure you go down to Abilene to watch Noah Garcia run down the field through defenses and into the house frequently this season. If I had to guess here, Noah, that will be happening quite a bit. Listen, Noah, we want to give you an opportunity here, as we always do, for shout-outs to any family, friends, teammates, etc. So make sure, not to forget anybody. The floor is yours, Noah Garcia. Go ahead with your shout-outs.
I just want to shout out all of our coaches, coaching staff, my teammates, my family. Without them, I couldn't give anything on the field or do anything, especially God, man. I feel like He's given me a God-given talent that is rare, and I'm so blessed that I get to do everything under His name.
From the folks I know down there, they talk about you and love you a lot down at Hardin-Simmons, not just because you're football talent, but because of just the guy you are. And so what you see is what you get with Noah Garcia, folks. I can tell you that from my experience and those I know that give me the feedback on this stuff. So we wish you nothing but the best here. Stay healthy this year. And if I get to one of the games, please don't get carted off again, because I want to watch you play 4 quarters of football, man. Let's do it the right way this time, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you. JB, a great interview again. Noah Garcia, a great guy. And again, great to see him doing okay and telling that story. It sounded pretty gruesome there between concussion and a vertebrae situation, everything else. Football is not for the weary out there. No, my goodness. And also, had to wear the glasses.
But he's bouncing back.
Well, we'll see. Again, the key role that backfield plays, you got your quarterback back, you've got your running back back. That's huge because of that need to get a little variation, variety, and spice inside that offense. That's what we'll hopefully see from Hardin-Simmons. And again, Noah and his other running backs out there too will be key integral parts of that. Continue watching us, folks, because we are not done yet here. We got plenty more interviews coming up here in our interview series, Twitter and other locations. We're we're kind of laughing to ourselves as we do these wraparounds for these interviews about, some of the comments that some folks, some of our haters have put out there about us and whatnot. And, speaking of haters, there are haters of John Carroll for leaving the OAC and moving to the NCAC this year. And, a team's going to do what a team's going to do when it comes down to, especially in this whole realignment phase we're still going through here in Division III. And it'll be very interesting to see how they handle the new schedule. We talked to Joe Thimons about that coming up here in this interview. His line is going to be very important here for their success against some potent offenses in the NCAC. And JB, just as a beginning thought here, does John Carroll just come in and win the NCAC, do you think? I mean, what's it going to take for them to do it against teams like DePaul, Wabash, et cetera?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of good teams in that conference, and John Carroll has a couple of tough out-of-conference games to kind of get geared up, But DePaul has proven that they have been the best in class for a while. And so, John Carroll wasn't picked to win the NCAC in the preseason poll, but there are a lot of people out there that claim that the OAC is either the best or the second best conference in the country. So we'll see.
Here's Joe Thimons talking about this, watershed 2025 season for him and his team.
All right, and we're here with John Carroll University senior defensive lineman Joe Thimons. Joe, new year for you guys, new conference, and you're kind of a little by your lonesome, right? You played for most of your college career with your older brother who graduated. Tell us what it's like going into this camp with this new group, this new freshman class, but there's also some comings and goings. How is the team feeling, and how are things getting ready for your first game against Waynesburg?
Yeah, it's definitely a little different, a little weird, playing all these 3 seasons with my brother and his great leadership. But, I get to step in that leadership role now, and super excited. I'm just trying to, do just as good as he did. And, we're super excited for the game against Waynesburg. Training camp's been amazing. Our preparation's been amazing. And it's just all we're focused on right now is Waynesburg. We're trying to get that week 1 win that, we haven't seen in a while. We're just coming to start the year up hot.
So you've kind of been in the middle of the mix there with respect to, coaching changes and stuff like that. Jeff Behrman, who's a friend of our show, friend of mine from Union College, steps in and sort of puts his own mold onto things over there at John Carroll, and seems to really have done a great job in that process. What's your relationship with Coach Behrman, and what has he added to this mix from a player's point of view that you appreciate so far?
Yes, my relationship with him is very close. He's like a part of my family, and he came in with this super disciplined approach, and it's kind of changed all our mindsets, not just football wise, but building us into men for the future. We come in and we're disciplined in everything. He always says, do one thing as you do everything. So we have that mindset approach, not just in football, but in the classroom. And it's really helped us develop, not as football players, but as men coming in and doing all the little things right.
So, Joe, I'm curious. I know that Cleveland is kind of a chip shot away from Western Pennsylvania, but how did you and your brother end up at John Carroll? I mean, there's so many great football programs in Western PA. How did they let you slip through their fingers and end up in Ohio?
Yeah, so, I can't speak for my brother, but I visited a bunch of other schools, and obviously, I knew of John Carroll because of him, and I'd come up, see the great culture. I was kind of set on John Carroll because I came up one game, and there was a game at Baldwin Wallace, and they were down about 21 points in the fourth quarter, and I just saw the grittiest comeback I've ever seen in my life, the defense rallying, getting turnovers, and that kind of just showed me what kind of culture John Carroll had, and got me super hyped, and I kind of knew from that point that was the school I was going to.
So things at the school may stay the same a little bit here now, but the conference schedule obviously changes here this season, and it's tough enough to prep for a new out-of-conference foe. And yes, every team is different year to year, so film is film that you have to watch. But this has got to be a little bit of an extra challenge as you're a senior now to sort of go against an entirely new slate of teams in your conference schedule. although a lot of people have you guys slated as maybe a favorite in the whole wash. DePaul is probably looking at me like, what are you talking about? But, how does this work? How do you guys, make this shift? And for a senior like you, how important is it to make sure you don't miss a beat here, since this is pretty much it for your road in college here?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely talked about this with the other seniors. I mean, coming in with two other senior D linemen, Tommy Waz and Ben Day, and we've kind of talked all summer about how this is our last ride. We got to come out and make an impact and kind of show, our fast physical defense and, kind of keep getting pressure on that quarterback. But, as a team, we accepted this new challenge. We love it. We're coming into a conference where kind of everyone, wants a piece of us, because we're coming in confident, and we know we're going to come out and win this thing, get the job done. So we're attacking this new challenge, and we're super excited to play all these games.
Yeah, and while certain things are different in a way, you could say it's kind of the same, because you look, week 2, you're playing number 3 Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. It's, and maybe you don't have Mount Union on the schedule this year, but you still have a top 3 team to battle against. And it'll be nice for you, I imagine, as as a homecoming of sorts, to go to Waynesburg in Pennsylvania. I'm sure a lot of family will be able to come to that. But how do you stop yourselves from the, it's cliche, right? But you got Hopkins the next week. How do you not look ahead?
Good. Yeah, it is hard not to look ahead, because that's a super exciting game, getting to travel out there. But kind of Coach Behrman keeps us grounded. He keeps us focused on one game at a time. Keeps all our minds on keeps all our minds on Waynesburg, and we just keep grinding and focusing on Waynesburg.
I remember last season, and there was a Saturday night in particular after all the games were done in Week 11 that these new rankings came out, and you guys were kind of on the edge, looking at your fate basically for the playoffs last year. And you guys were the last team basically in. It was you and Mary Hardin-Baylor, and on the other side of it was Wheaton and River Falls, and we had a show all about that the next night. But you guys lived through the NPI, interesting mix, the expanded playoffs, which allowed you guys in ultimately as a result of it, because of the expanded Pool C scenario. How do you think, now that you've lived through some of these changes, things are going right now in D3? And what was that night like, suddenly seeing numbers pop up and saying, oh, you're in, versus, the selection show and everything else? I kind of wanted a player's point of view on the changes and how it's affecting things here a little bit.
Yeah, it was definitely stressful sitting there watching the live stream show. Me and my brother were coming back up to school from Thanksgiving, sitting in the car, and we were all nervous watching the show. But we kind of just focused on ourselves, because, Coach Behrman's always harping on controlling what you can control. So we knew that was out of our control at that moment. So we were just kind of sitting there, throwing up some prayers, putting it in God's hands, and we were blessed enough to be able to play more football.
Absolutely. Well, I know that a lot of the NCAC crowd knows about like the Monin Bell rivalry game. There's a game on your schedule with Wabash that you're hosting called the Shamrock game. I can't say I'm familiar with a Shamrock trophy or something, especially between you two schools. Is that just something that kind of came up for this year, or is it just something on the schedule you've never heard of? Or?
To be honest with you, I've never heard of that, but that sounds super exciting, and I'm super excited to find out what that's about.
I'm a little bit scared at the same time. I might have to pop in for that one somehow. Anyway, Joe, as we said, this is kind of it for you with respect to your college career. So what is next? I mean, not to rush your school year or your term, away from everybody here, but what's next for you? What are you looking to do once this is all done for you?
Yeah, I'm super kind of a little bit nervous, but kind of excited to start my career. Obviously, I'm loving playing football, and I never want that to end, but going to have to move on. And I'm a supply chain major, and I've kind of had a great internship with a company called Dayton Freight. So I'm excited to continue my work there for the management trainee position and continue to just grow in my career and see what's next for me.
Sounds promising. Well, Frank, I don't think you know this, but Joe and I have a random connection. One of his roommates and a guy who played for a few years for the Blue Streak named Jake Varga is the son of my old friend John Barga that I first met in Los Angeles back in 1999, 2000. And so, I think this is the first time maybe this has happened where an old friend of mine has a kid who was a roommate of a guest. Anyway, I've got connections to JCU. What can I say? Joe, what's it been like living with Jake? I hope he's been a good roommate.
Oh, he's been great. A great guy. Comes down, always watching movies with us, hanging out with us. It's tough to hear he wasn't coming back for football this year, but he's got great career aspirations right now, working almost full time right now. So he's ahead of the game. But I told him about this interview coming up with you. He got super excited. He was like, "Hey, I know that guy." Like, "Oh, I'm excited for it. Definitely got to know it."
That just means that we're old and we're has-beens at this point. That's all that means at this, juncture of our careers. Here, the few years. Yeah, exactly. I get it, as closely crowded as I can week to week. Anyway, Joe, enough about that. We want to give you an opportunity to give shout-outs to any family, friends, teammates, et cetera, that might be watching. So Joe Thimons, in a very interesting year coming up for JCU, we're going to start off here with shout-outs for you. Go right ahead.
I just want to shout out my family coming to every single game. My parents, both my brothers, my sister, my grandparents, my uncle. They're all coming up to every single game. They just called my mom the other day. She told me she already booked the hotel room for Maryland. So they're coming up to every game. So just want to give a shout out to them. Shout out to, all my friends, all my teammates, everyone that I'm excited for this come up to this, year right now. And, so many other people, deserve to be doing this interview, talking about, their successes and coming out in the career. And then shout out, to God, of course, blessing me to even be in this stage. My whole life is a blessing, and I'm so blessed and thankful for everything I have, my family, my teammates, and, to be healthy, especially.
Interestingly, for those watching, and JB, you should know this, he's wearing what looks like a long sleeve windbreaker today because it is actually getting football weatherish in the mornings in this region. He's not that far in terms of the parallels away from me in upstate New York right now. It was 50 degrees this morning. It's getting to be football weather even in August, and I think we're all ready to kick this darn thing off and get the 2025 season underway. So pack warmly, JB, and Joe, best of luck this season. Hopefully get a chance to cross paths with you guys. I've not yet attended a JCU game, despite that entire list of games and teams and everything else I've attended. So maybe this is the year for that to finally happen. Hopefully see you down the road here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to everybody over at John Carroll, Coach Behrman, Joe Kinley, et cetera, that helped get this one together for us. And again, when you see seniors having to deal, and we talked about this with McGinnis, Joey McGinnis over at Carnegie Mellon, dealing with a new set of schedule, a new conference scenario on their way out the door, you want to see the success for them, especially because I think you don't want that question mark about, well, we're just not ready for this. And, that's their senior season type of situation. So, we want to see the best for these guys, and they're ready. I think a John Carroll team is ready for situations like this. The OAC had no softballs when it really came down to that, except for maybe the very, very bottom of the pack. And I think that preps them well for the NCAC. Last thoughts?
Well, if you didn't notice it in the interview, he was wearing like a NCAA playoff pullover. So, for the Blue Streaks is kind of the, playoffs or bust, right? So they're expecting to get in. And so whether it's winning the NCAC or a Pool C bid, if you're a Blue Streaks player, you're expecting to win 8-9 games or more and go into the postseason. So the bar's been set. They know what their goal is. They're going to go for it.
Last team in last year. Hey, it doesn't matter if you're last or first, you're in if you get in that realm. And that's all that matters. We're not done yet. I told you we had a lot of interviews coming up here, and we will continue. So keep checking back. We'll see you soon. JB, I think we had to stop tape. I've got a mistake on the screen, obviously. We got the wrong label, I think. Oh, wait.
I don't think so. Wait a minute.
My bad. Noah Beaudrie is at Adrian College as the quarterback. Actually, I saw him listed as
home.
And somebody had to listen to this, not even Adrian or Mount Union the other day in some listing. I was like, I think they really they should check their sources on that one. But Noah has a good time over at Mount Union. Obviously, they just fall short last season against North Central in the 2024 Stag. You wonder sometimes. They had a batch of quarterbacks to choose from then. They still do now. And so Noah says, I'm going to Adrian for my senior season here. Friends of the coach and everything else, or the coaching staff over there. And he's home. This can't be easy, though. I mean, have you seen this play out too often? I mean, I remember Luke Poorman going from Mount Union to Mary Hardin-Baylor and ended up riding pine a little bit because who is it? Jace. I always forget his name. But Jace Hammock. Good memory. See that? But it's happened before. But Noah Beaudrie is looking at a school here that hasn't had the same level of success a Mary Hardin-Baylor had or a Mount Union had necessarily along the way. They're a good team, but this is an interesting opportunity for him. What do you think here?
Well, I like his confidence. I mean, you got Hope and Alma, two teams that have really made names for themselves nationally in the last couple of years. And you could have argued that Hope might have had a bigger playoff run if they didn't have to play Central in the second round. But, they have their sights set on being competitive, and having a player with his pedigree certainly gives them a leg up.
Let's hear from Noah about his reasons for leaving and what he's looking out for as his senior season comes up here.
So, Noah, welcome to In the Huddle. The last time we saw you was on a very blustery night in Houston when the temperature dropped about 30 degrees. I know the outcome wasn't what you and your teammates wanted, and it was one of those interesting things in the off season that we saw you kind of return home. You're from Monroe, Michigan. You're now a senior at Adrian College, which is a school that we got to know during the kind of the 2020 COVID year. You guys played 7 games, which is, I think, the most out of anybody in the country at the time. But would really love to hear your story about, what happened from, that night in Houston to where you are here in the preseason. I see you got the Adrian Bulldog sweatshirt on, and so you're all ready to go. Would love to hear about what got you here.
Yeah, it was a quick turnaround. It was a blessing. January 6th was the national championship, and January 13th I was on Adrian's campus. So moving out from Alliance, it was a really quick turnaround, but the coaches here, super welcoming. It was a big blessing to come here and really feel right at home. It was a quick turnaround. We started lifting right away, but it was a, I guess, long time coming, just in terms of a full circle moment. I knew Coach Ty, our offensive coordinator, back in high school, and he was playing pro ball in training. I was his quarterback while I was still in high school, so it was just really a full circle moment, and that I love everything about it here. So,
just to, and we'll leave this topic, I promise you, after this question. But what was the response from the Mount Union friends that you had made? Because obviously you've been there for long enough to make lots of acquaintances and friends along the way. What was the feedback from there? What's the feedback been from family and everything else in a move like this? And just overall, how have people been treating you with respect to something that is more, I guess, a thing now in 2025 with the transfer portal and everything else going on?
yeah, I mean, a lot of people there, were upset. I talked to the coaching staff; they were upset, that I left. But at the end of the day, they wanted what was best for me. I felt that this transfer back home was best for me, and made the decision to do that. A lot of my friends graduated there already, so moving back here was pretty smart. My family members, everyone loved it because I'm back home a lot now. Co-offensive coordinator at my brother's high school where my dad's coaching. So just being around a lot more here. And as far as Adrian goes, everyone here is super supportive and they love it all.
Now, one of the things that we've learned over the years are these different rivalries between these longtime D3 schools. And one of, I think, the more underrated ones is this Albion-Adrian rivalry. We got exposed to it about 5 or 6 years ago, as I said. But tell us a little bit about, the change of landscape for you going into the MIAA. You guys were picked to finish third in the preseason conference poll, which, is what it is. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. But what would you say are some of the big differences between what you're seeing potentially on film or otherwise between, going from a school in Ohio to out to Michigan?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Balka, the head coach, has really done a great job just really helping us focus on our week one opponent. Obviously, every game is important. We're treating every practice as the most important practice. We're treating every game as the most important game. As far as the MIAA goes, I'm pretty familiar being from Michigan. My cousin plays for Alma. Just a lot of people that I know playing the MIAA. So we're really just taking it one game at a time and focusing on Valpo for week one. But as far as the season goes, we're excited and just been getting after it during camp and these practices as school starts.
What are the differences for you? Because obviously systems are different, and having to go from one to another in this kind of quickness it probably is a little bit exciting, but also different for many different reasons about how Mount Union will run an offense, how Adrian runs an offense. Sure, you go through that with high school to college. I get that, but with more complex offenses. How does it differ for you? What are some of the challenges that you're encountering, but that you're going to be able to overcome here in the Adrian system at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think both Mount Union and Adrian, I've been around my fair share of programs. Seeing the comparison of the two, I think naturally you compare them just to see how the offenses work. I'd say Adrian's and Mount Union's is pretty similar. Obviously, the verbiage is different, but it's the signals are different. But other than that, it's really just at the end of the day, it's football. It's triple option stuff, short game, taking some shots, things like that. And like I said, I've seen my fair share of football. So being around the game and really coming in, and being here in the spring has helped me learn a lot. And now coming into fall, I was way ahead of the game rather than some freshman coming in fall camp and having to learn a brand new playbook in, I don't know, 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, tough start with, I guess a Pioneer League, Valparaiso, school from Indiana, which, in certain ways, I guess has elements of, D3, but won't really count when it comes to an MPI or whatever perspective. You guys then host Teal and Manchester to go from things from there. What, in prepping for a FCS level team, is it different from looking at a D3 team, or is it just like you said, it's just football? You look at the formations and players and you just build a game plan?
Yeah, we're really just focusing on what we can control right now. They have a week 0 game, so we'll watch that this Saturday, and we'll get ready for Valpo. The coaching staff from there is actually from Marietta, so we played them last year, so it's going to be the same staff. We're expecting, similar things, and so we'll see how the game goes this Saturday, and we'll prepare like a normal game week.
I should have known that.
Well, yeah, look, Midwest coaching circles are small circles, no matter how you end up in this whole situation. But yeah, that is the case. So, Noah, looking down the line here, for you, what is the goal here? Is it to get back to the Natty? Is it to just look at it game by game? Is it conference championship? What, knocking hope off the perch, I guess might be the thought here type of situation. What for you is the goal? And I'm assuming you only have 1 year left, but let us know if that's different from what we're expecting to hear here. But what is the goal ultimately for you in this year at Adrian?
Yeah, the goal is to win 2 championships. We're going to win a conference championship in the MIAA, and then we're going to chase a national championship too. I don't think coming from Mount Union, especially, you don't just transfer to anywhere. At the end of the year, I'm used to playing 15, 16 games, and that's what we're going to try to do. I think the entire staff at Adrian has done a good job of making the players believe that, rather than just saying it. Saying, "Hey, we're going to chase 7, 8 wins this year. We're going to chase the full thing." I do only have 1 year left, so we're going to chase 2 championships this year, and I know I'm doing my best to set up the other quarterbacks for success in the future.
And kind of thinking about life after college, you may have given us a little hint, but it sounds like you enjoy coaching football too. You kind of got it in the family. Is that something that you think you'll pursue once you graduate, or do you have other sort of professional aspirations? What's next for you after you get your degree?
Yeah, I'm gonna be. I have a finance major. Got it from Mount Union, and then finishing here. I also my dad's been coaching for 30 years, so I have that option too. And then being extremely close with Coach Ty, definitely have options to coach college ball probably somewhere in the future. So just really trying to keep my options open.
So somebody outside is trying to tell me that this would be a perfect time to go to our last question, as we get a little bit of construction activity outside where I am right now. So Noah, perfect ending here would be to give you the opportunity for shout-outs, any family, friends, teammates, then and now, I guess. Anybody you want to send your shout-outs to, the floor is yours. Noah Beaudrie.
Really grateful for the opportunity here at Adrian. The coaching staff has been extremely welcoming. The players have been great. It's been great getting to build new relationships with everyone. And then back home, my family and friends just really being supportive of this move. It was a quick turnaround for everyone to kind of drop everything and help me. Super appreciative, and I'm just here to work hard and give it back to them.
We wish you nothing but the best. I know it's a tough thing to make the move always, and making it back to home or not, it's still tough to make that transition. And you've been nothing but a class act every step of the way, as we've encountered you in different ways, shapes, and forms. And for sure, you're going to land on your feet no matter what you do. But Adrian's lucky to have you, and we look forward to seeing how it goes for you this season. Best of luck, Noah.
Thank you very much.
Again, thanks everybody over Adrian and to Noah for this great interview. And JB, I'm going to throw it right to you here. Could you have done this in your realm when you were at Hobart? You were like, I want to go elsewhere. Back in your days of playing, was this something that really could have even happened, do you think, that easily without a transfer portal and all that stuff?
No, I think it would have never happened back then. It was such a different situation on many levels, especially with the lack of technology back then, because I'm so old. It wasn't like you could just go on your phone and go to Huddle and look up, like, people are mailing VHS tapes. Okay, so yeah. With the portal and all that, social media opens it up so much more, makes it so much easier. And I think it's also more acceptable now, especially with athletics, where back then, like, transferring is like, oh, what happened? Did you get kicked out of school? Did you not cut it academically? What's going on here? It's a totally different deal.
Yeah, it is a game changer for sure, what's happened over time. I mean, granted, when your leather helmet was, finally retired and everything, at least we're moving in the right direction. I'll leave it right there. Folks, we're going to Region 5 next, so come back and see who we're interviewing next here in our player interview series.